Hey, you're listening to Ty Bollinger of CancerTruth.net. You're also listening to Justin and Kate with Extreme Health Radio. These guys are great. Enjoy listening to them. I always do.
Welcome to Extreme Health Radio. Extreme Health Radio.
Where natural solutions to almost every health condition are out there. Join us on our journey to find them.
Now here are your hosts,
Broadcasting from sunny Southern California around the world.
Justin and Kate Stellman.
Okay, I just had to clear my throat before the air there.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. You've got extremehealthradio.com, and my name is Justin, and this is my wife,
Kate.
And we are broadcasting worldwide from Southern California. It's a beautiful day here. Actually, it's cloudy, but it should be nice. And so I want to thank you guys for joining us. And we have a great show today with Eddie Stone. And he's the founder and CEO of Touchstone Essentials. So we're going to be talking about the zeolite that we take on a daily basis and to detoxify from heavy metals. And I think there's something here for you guys. So I think that you're going to like the show today. So we do shows 4 days a week on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And if you'd like to follow what we got going on, we'd love to have you join our community. You can do that by going to extremehealthradio.com/Facebook and hit the like button, and you'll be a part of our community, and it's fun to interact with everybody there. So keep you up to date with what's going on. And just for reference, this is, is it already August 1st?
August 1st, yeah.
August 1st, 2013, Thursday. Golly, time is going by too quick.
I know.
Maybe the zeolite can change time or something.
We'll have to ask Eddie about that.
That would slow down time. I'd appreciate that. This is episode number 132. So if you would like to check out the show notes or websites or any reference materials that are mentioned on today's show, no need to take notes. Just go to extremehealthradio.com/132 and you can check them out there. And if you'd like to join the shows, lots of ways to do that. We'd love to have you join the show. You can email me, Justin, at extremehealthradio.com or
Kate, Kate, at extremehealthradio.com.
And another great way to join the show is a really fun way is to go to extremehealthradio.com/voicemail, all one word. And you can record a message right from your computer, and we can play it to our guest or for us on a Free For All Friday show. So check that out. And if you'd like to support what we're doing and you purchase on Amazon frequently, you can buy through our link and we'll get a little commission. That'll help pay the bills around here and make sure we can keep doing shows for free. And you can do that anytime you purchase there on Amazon. Just go to extremehealthradio.com/Amazon and you'll be able to support us there.
And you can buy anything. Doesn't have to be health related.
That's right. You can buy anything. Toothpicks.
Toothpick. There you Wow, good one.
Toothpicks like that. It just came.
There you go.
Just like that. We've got some really great guests coming up. We've got David Sarita. He's going to be talking about healing with energy and sound and light. And he's a cutting edge kind of research guy. He's a really interesting guy. So we'll be talking to David Sarita. Then we've got Sean Stevenson, who's a resident nutritionist and fitness guy and trainer, and he's into herbal medicines and herbal alchemy and creating superfoods and all this kind of crazy stuff. So we had the opportunity of meeting him a couple days ago, so that should be fun. And then we've got G. Edward Griffin.
Oh, right.
And he's done a lot of work on cancer, and I think he wrote The Creature from Jekyll Island, talking about the Federal Reserve System, and so he should be a really, really fun one to have on. And today we have Eddie Stone. This is going to be really great. He's the founder and CEO of a company that's really interesting. I really like what they're doing. Been purchasing a lot of their products for many months now. We've originally heard of Touchstone Essentials from Deborah Lynn Dad, who was on our show. And we spoke with her extensively off the air. And she talked about the zeolite that she mentioned on the show. And so I was asking her all kinds of questions and went ahead and bought some of the zeolite and been working with Touchstone Essentials ever since. And Eddie Stone is the founder, co-founder, and CEO. And their website is touchstoneessentials.com. And Eddie, thanks for joining the show today.
Well, Justin, I appreciate the chance to be here.
Yeah, it's really great. Where are you calling in from?
Raleigh, North Carolina. That's where we're located and headquartered, and that's where I'm from. So that's where we're at today.
Oh, excellent. And how's the weather out there today?
Well, it's funny when you mentioned your weather there and the cloudy. It's cloudy here, but actually for a July, or I should say an August day, here in the South, the clouds make it a little more tolerable than it would be otherwise. So it's a welcome relief.
Oh, welcome relief, because otherwise it's pretty humid out there, isn't it?
Yeah, and even with the clouds, it's still pretty humid, particularly perhaps for some folks out in California. You'd probably find it maybe intolerable.
Yeah, we
This
get
is
the
true.
clouds near the beach, and it kind of stays cloudy for most of the day sometimes, but it burns off, and it's
And then we remember why we live here.
yeah, exactly.
There you go.
So you've been involved in this particular company for many years, and so how did you first start Touchstone Essentials and all of that?
Well, my history in the nutrition field or industry is 20 plus years, and I probably came to it like many people do, my own health circumstances, looking at where I was in my late 20s and sort of the habits that were developing, and not being terribly satisfied with weight gain and other issues, and just began to sort of look at myself. What could I do different? What could I do better? Paying more attention to the food I was buying, food I was eating, how it was prepared, and then also the role of supplementation, because I realize even with best practices, very difficult for people to completely bridge that gap between where they are and where they want to be with nutrition. So that's just a journey that's continued until I launched Touchstone Essentials back in February of 2012. But it's really the culmination of a whole lot of history and spending time with people who are experts in the field, incredible amount of passion about what they're doing and how they can contribute to society and health. And we feel like really this is just that manifestation of a long journey that we've been on.
So you probably wish that you had some of these products from Touchstone back in your 20s when you were having some of those health issues, I imagine.
Absolutely. And not just in my 20s, but in my 30s and my early 40s. I'll have my 50th birthday here in just a few short weeks. And, while the journey has been one of progress, not perfection, but that's probably true for a lot of life, I do look back on some of the things I've consumed, even with the best of intentions, and now think, man, I should have done a little more homework on where it was coming from and how it was processed. But, perhaps that's always going to be true.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure there's always ways we can improve. When we had Deborah on, she was really, really saying many, many great things about your zeolite and things like that. So that's how we originally got turned on to you guys. It was really great.
Yeah, and Deborah's been a great supporter of us, and we really appreciate that. The one thing about having Deborah's seal of approval is she's someone that does her homework without a commercial interest. And so there's a real purity to her support, and we appreciate that. And the zeolite product we have is really the culmination of us sort of recognizing that when you're talking about health, and I know you do that on this show, I've gone back and reviewed some of your archives, that you really have to take a holistic approach. You got to look at the whole environment that you're dealing in. And really for most people, they ignore this issue of toxicity, particularly on a day in and day out basis. I'm not talking about if you're in a chemical plant and there's a spill, and there's plenty of people that do cleanses, but it's different when you think about the day in and day out impact of heavy metals, environmental pollutions, volatile organics on the body, on the energy level, on the immune system, just the entire environment. And so that's what led us to do our work on the zeolite.
Is the zeolite your sort of flagship product, or are there other ones that are just as big as the zeolite?
There are others that are just as big. We really work hard not to try to have a complete focus on one area or the other, because just like with your health, extreme habits in one direction or the other aren't going to really serve the total body and the total health experience. And so we focus on cellular health. And to do that, you've got to think about detoxification, but you've also got to think about getting nutrition back in the cell, or it's not going to function properly. I mean, both of those things can negatively impact cellular function. Of course, as your cells go, so does your health.
Interesting. So now with the zeolite and the toxicity and people walking around, I imagine people are just picking up toxins in every area of their life. we talked with Deborah, and she was just kind of going over all the different places in your life that you get exposed to toxins. And it's kind of mind-boggling when you think about it.
It really is. And frankly, it's almost overwhelming. It can kind of be crushing from a thought process standpoint when you start to look at it, because, and I would assume most of your listeners are above average in terms of their education and awareness on these issues. But even out in the just everyday part of our life, people have a growing awareness that there are literally thousands of chemicals that have become a part of the food supply, that have become a part of industrial production, most of which have never really had any kind of real human trial. And I'm talking about whether they're used for agriculture or used in fracking or any of these things that have an off-putting of toxins into the environment we live in. And so it's impacting the water supply, it's impacting the food supply, it's impacting the soil, it's impacting the quality of the air. I mean, I'll just give you one quick example. Particularly in the South where I live, but I'm sure it's probably true in your area, most people have a heating and air conditioning system, and they have a filter on that system in their home. Uh-huh. And on occasion, you go and you change that filter, right? And if you're really mindful of it, you probably do it every 30 days, but maybe it's every 90 days. And of course, there's always that moment in your life where you're so busy and you kind of forget for 6 months, and you go to pull that filter out, and it's just nasty, right? You just barely want to touch the edges, right? That's when I call my 17-year-old son and make him do it. And so, we do that. And what we don't think clearly about is that filter is an intake filter. And so it's having air taken from inside your home that you're breathing. It's filtering it before it goes through to be heated or cooled, whatever the circumstances may be. Uh-huh. Well, you're breathing all the air on the front side of that filter. All the air that the filter's breathing, you're breathing, and your lungs have to process all of that gunk and junk that you see on that filter, even the big particles that you didn't see them when you breathed them, you didn't think anything about it, and you don't have the luxury of taking your lungs out on occasion and rinsing them off, right? If you have a reusable filter or you change the filter. And so as just a natural part of living, we have to process this stuff, and over time it creates a body burden. Now, look, some people, they have acute manifestations of this body burden of toxin and an erosion of their immune system function and other things. Mm-hmm. Other people kind of live with it, but the bottom line is, we all know at some point there's a tipping point where it's impacting negatively our health. Maybe it's a vulnerability to cardiovascular disease. Maybe it gets in the way of energy levels. Maybe it gets in the way of how we utilize insulin, so we're more vulnerable to type 2 diabetes. I mean, there's just a whole host of things we could talk about, but left unchecked and not dealt with, we're going to suffer in some capacity. It's just a matter of the range or degrees that we suffer.
It's interesting, too, you said that, because no matter where you put that air filter in your house, or even if you put it outside and left it for 6 months and turned it on or whatever, you would still have all those toxins hitting the filter. Yeah. And the other thing too that's interesting is, you go to the beach or, at this time of year and people are putting sunscreen on, or people are, the chemtrails that are coming down, and, a lot of people are eating non-organic food. And so the amount of toxicity, I was just listening to David Wolf the other day talk about how some of the chemicals and toxins gets into a lot of the wheat products, like the breads and the pastas that people eat, because they're typically
farmed in
farmed with factory farmed water or municipal water that contains calcium, but also needed with that same kind of water too to get to roll the dough.
Right.
And so it's just amazing. If you look hard enough, you can find toxins in just
on every level.
Yeah, it's just amazing.
Well, so here's how I think about that. I'm old enough that I remember a movie in the 70s, one of those made-for-TV movies about the boy that lived in the bubble. In fact, I think the boy in the bubble was John Travolta, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I remember that.
I
So you could try to live in the bubble, but what kind of life can you have in the bubble? I mean, I'm not saying we shouldn't try to utilize protective measures, paying attention to the products that we buy, that we use to clean our home, that the food that we buy, that it's organic. And there are simple best practices we should all engage in. But at the end of the day, you can't get rid of it because you really just can't live in the bubble and stop living. Even going to the beach, if you dip your toe in the water, you get in the water, cadmium, lead, mercury that you pick up that can be tested on people that spend time at the beach, test their hair. And their levels of those heavy metals are much higher than people that never go to the beach, right? They didn't do anything else except go to the beach. And so you've got to make sure there's a vehicle in your life that supports your body's ability to detoxify. And that's really the fundamentals, the strategy behind what we're doing.
Yeah, it's interesting. Did you want to say something?
Well, were you going to go a different direction?
Well, no, I was just going to say it was one more thing that I'm looking at your website right now on your blog, and I see a picture of a receipt, a curled up receipt.
I saw
and
that.
we were just learning recently about how the chemicals that are in those receipts, you know how when you touch those receipts with your fingers, the ink will bleed a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, didn't you know about this, Kate?
I read a whole article on it. I just don't take receipts anymore. When they ask you if you want a receipt or they try to give me one, I'm like, no, I don't want that.
Yeah.
But it's stuff that I've never thought about any of this. I've thought about the chemicals we all think about, but it's something as simple as a receipt. You just don't see the danger in it until you start learning a little bit more. But those things are very toxic. And
so, Eddie, you were talking about a couple minutes ago about a tipping point. And so what happens when we're filled with these toxins or exposed to these toxins? If we have genetic weaknesses, what happens? We start expressing some of that stuff?
Well, expressing it would be a good thing, right? If we can find some way, and frankly, nobody wants to think about pimples or other things that may manifest themselves because you are trying to express it or what might happen with the bowel. But that tipping point is when your immune system becomes compromised and your vulnerability to autoimmune diseases frankly accelerates. Because you're at a cellular level, your body it can't deal with it any longer. And here becomes a problem. Your cells become so toxic that your immune system turns on them. And now you have that worrisome impact of an autoimmune function. Let's say it's in the bowel where the body is trying to deal with those issues, turning on itself. Inflammation throughout the bowel, throughout the body, seeps into the cardiovascular system. Now, frankly, you're vulnerable to all the degenerative diseases that we worry about, whether we're talking about cardiovascular disease, cancer, diabetes, or any of the others. And so now you're older, so the body doesn't function as well just from the very beginning because you are older. And so it just exacerbates whatever challenges that you have. They become accelerated and more difficult to deal with because everything is compromised.
Do you think that moving forward, people living in suburban environments or in the city, things like that, I guess possibly people living in the country as well, out in the country more, do you think that it seems to me like it's likely going to get worse? What do you think about that?
I don't know unless there's some kind of cathartic moment at a political level where all of a sudden collectively develop the political will to sort of deal with these issues. And you can just think about the controversy associated with the global warming discussion, right? Mm-hmm. Or carbon emissions, right? We can't even deal with it on a larger macro level. No matter what the evidence is, no matter what the party is, nobody seems to have the will because it does cost more to live in a less toxic environment. I don't have faith that that's going to change. It's not that I don't believe in mankind or society. I don't want to go down that path. I just simply believe the issues are large and challenging and the forces clashing head here are so difficult that what I want to do is implement best practices in my household. I'm sure Deborah spoke about that when she was on with you. Mm-hmm. And then also think about what are products that I can use myself, give to my family, offer to the public, to our audience, to our customers that help their bodies, aid their bodies in this process of detoxification so we can at least manage it as best we can. Yeah, I agree. And, it's almost impossible to, like you said, live in the bubble, like the boy in the bubble, or it's impossible.
Yeah, what a life that is.
Yeah, and what a life that is. And then also to fight the, spend your whole life fighting the political, agenda to change a lot of this stuff. I mean, those are all great things to do, but,
right.
When you can pick up some daily practices and some products like the ones here at Touchstone Essentials or wherever that help mitigate some of these things, I think that's going to be the best way to go. And it's probably at least the most simple, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a pragmatic approach, and that's not to say that I don't personally try to support politically agendas that are kind of wanting to clean up our environment and clean up our food supply, but I can't just be completely over there, right? There's got to be more balance, and so we believe we have the most portable, pragmatic approach a person can use.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, TouchstoneEssentials.com. We are with Eddie Stone from TouchstoneEssentials.com and having a good time here talking about detoxification, and we'll be getting more into that after this break. So thanks for listening, and we'll be right back after this break. Rebounding is, in my mind, one of the best ways to detoxify your lymphatic system, and it's the only exercise on earth that will actually detoxify your lymphatic system. And your lymph system is responsible for storing toxins and chemicals and poisons that you're exposed to, and there's no pump for the lymph system. It doesn't have a heart, so you have to move it up and down, and it's filled with millions of one-way valves that get squeezed and pushed and opened and closed every time you jump. And we feel like we've found the best rebounder on the market today. It's the Rolls Royce of rebounding. It's called the Bellicon. And I highly, highly stand behind this product. It's absolutely amazing. If you want to hear what some of our guests said about it, check them out on our store. You can listen to what a lot of our guests have said about rebounding and the Bellicon in particular. So a lot of times people will go on the rebounder with oxygen for cancer if they're really sick. And it's one of the most powerful things you can do to cleanse your body and to exercise every single cell in your body, every organ in your body. It's the only internal organ exercise you could do. And it's absolutely incredible. It also helps to rebuild bone density because of the up and down motion, the G-force that gets applied to every cell of your body, and it tightens and tones your body, and it's just really, really great aerobic exercise. And the Bellicon is made with straps, these bungee cords instead of springs, so it's silent, and they have a warranty on it. It's the best rebounder on the market today. So if you're in the market for one, I would highly recommend just saving up and getting the Bellicon, because there's no other rebounder on the market that's better than this thing. I firmly believe that. So if you're interested in it, check it out, extremehealthradio.com/Bellicon. That's B as in boy, ELLICON. And you can learn more about it and watch the videos on that page too. So thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoy your rebounder, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
100% listener supported. Extreme Health Radio. Opening minds and transforming lives worldwide. Don't forget to join our thriving community for health tips, inspiration, and show updates at extremehealthradio.com/Facebook.
All right, we're having a good time here talking to Eddie Stone, CEO and co-founder of Touchstone Essentials, which is the zeolite that we love and use ever since we talked to Deborah Lindad. And I just want to let you guys know also to check out that rebounder that we just played an ad for. That Bellicon is really, really great tool. Eddie was talking about some simple lifestyle practices, and that's a piece of exercise equipment that you could add into your daily life to help detoxify yourself. And so check that out. And also, don't forget to follow us on Facebook as well. We've got lots of stuff going on there. Stay up to date with our shows and all of that good stuff. And in this segment, I wanted to talk, Eddie, a little bit about the actual zeolite itself. And we had quite a few questions come in and people talking about it. And so the zeolite, how did that product formation go for you guys?
Well, zeolite's a natural mineral found in nature. It's got a number of native properties that make it ideal. In fact, you could just describe it as a genius part of nature for aiding the body in detoxification. One, it's got a porous, microporous structure. And so it's like a sponge, just basically envision a sponge. Mm-hmm. And it contains inside its pores a natural negative charge. So it has an inborn affinity for positively charged heavy metals and environmental pollutants. And zeolites have a long history. We know a lot about them, and we can go back to 5,000 years to Chinese clay eating societies where they didn't know specifically what they were digesting, but they were eating clay to stop dysentery, and it did that, right? So it's got a lot of purposes that we know about. It enjoys GRAS status, generally recognized as safe with the FDA. So it's good from that standpoint. And then once you sort of had that basic dynamic, what we realized, what matters most is the size of the zeolite and how clean it is. The reason the size matters is it's all about surface area. And a zeolite has a structure that's the same whether I'm looking at a zeolite the size of a baseball, a golf ball, a marble, or a BB. It's all same. It's consistent, like almost, you might think of it like a diamond.
Okay.
And so it's just a question of milling it down to a small enough size to increase in space the amount of surface area. So think of it this way. If you've got a basketball, right, it's got a large surface area, but if I cut the basketball open, and I fill it with BBs, and then I calculate the increased surface area in the same space, right? It's the same space as the basketball, but because of the spheres of the BB, I increase the space or the surface area. Now its effectiveness in your body, which is a finite size, is much greater. In fact, it's exponential. And so milling it to size matters a great deal, how you mill it and how clean it is. And so that's what we focused on. And I believe, and I recognize my bias to the audience, but I believe gives us the very best product in the marketplace, also at the best value.
Yeah, I think when I was researching your company, I think there was something, correct me if I'm wrong, that said that it was 0.03 microns. And I can't even fathom how small that is. And I can't even imagine I know it's probably a proprietary thing that you do, but I can't imagine getting something that small. That's just amazing.
Well, it requires very special equipment. We have a very special mill that allows us to do this. We use third-party validation. In fact, the consumers will find that on our website so that we know the mean average size is 0.3 microns. And that's the Pure Body Regular. And the role of that is because we know that in the bowel, things that are 0.3 microns bigger or smaller, that's really kind of the determining point as to whether it stays in the bowel or gets into the soft tissue and bloodstream. Our Pure Body Regular allows us to know, because it's at 0.3 microns, that those larger particles, that's the mean average size, are going to stay in the bowel. And so now we're sort of assured that we've got a detoxification in the digestive system, which is critical, right? So much of the function, management of chemicals, management of everything, occurs in the digestive system. So that's why we take that approach and that strategy. That's why we don't use larger particles. We're very specific about that 0.3 micron mean average size. And then we do have a product called Pure Body Extra that is about 1,000 times smaller. We're talking about a nanogram size, because that's a product that's designed to disperse through the entire body. Frankly, anywhere that water goes in the body, it's going to provide detoxification. So it's a two-level approach.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
No.
No, so the extra strength, that's the one Kate is on. That's the spray bottle product, is that right?
Yeah, that's the spray bottle product. And basically, I won't wear everybody out on the details, but we mill it to a very small size, maybe 30 to 50 nanograms. And then we infuse it into highly purified water using sound waves to stretch the water clusters. And so when you relax those sound waves, it becomes a suspended, a colloidal mineral that's suspended, and it's fantastic in terms of the uptake in the body.
So, go ahead.
So when that goes into my body, in layman's terms, like what exactly does it do? I'm getting the vibe that it basically draws the toxins to it, and then how is it eliminated? Just through urination, or how does it leave your body, or how does that work?
Well, that's one of the greatest things about zeolites from a general standpoint. They don't stay in the body. There's no sort of natural repository, and the body doesn't try to capture and hold. And so assuming normal renal function, a person's going to use it, and it's going to evacuate the body in about a 4 to 6 hour period of time. The vast majority through the urine, but you've also got some that's going to go out through fecal matter.
Oh, gotcha.
And so these two particular types of zeolites, would they want to be used in conjunction with one another, one for the bowel and one for the bloodstream? Is that kind of the idea?
That's a very excellent way to think about it, Justin. And yes, they can be used and should be used, as far as I'm concerned, simultaneously, because they serve two very distinct purposes. Unfortunately, it's not one of those things where we can combine them and just pick sort of one mix for everybody. It's not quite that simple. The body is far more sophisticated and complicated than that. But the two work together. It's a fantastic synergy. And now, sort of at the end of that process, you're sitting at a cellular level with cells that are in a position to really drink in the nutrition, right? So it's that front side of that approach to cellular health, just eliminating those toxins.
Yeah, interesting. So when someone takes the Pure Body Extra Strength, the smaller particle size product, when they take that, does it actually get inside the cell itself?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's there are what are called water channels or pores that have been identified by science, but we basically know that there are channels going in and out of the cells. That's how things transfer. And so as water transfers, this is just going to simply be escorted with it. It's traveling with the water throughout the body.
Wow, that's interesting, because I would imagine at the cellular level, people would have toxins stored inside the cell, right?
That's right, and for some, it's more of a problem than others. I mean, as you might guess, biologically, we're all so dramatically different, and one person manages toxicity better than another, and we can see that manifest itself with certain diseases and illnesses. And so, you've got some people that their bodies do a great job of managing and eliminating those toxins at the cellular levels, and others simply become trapped, and now they become prisoners to this toxicity, and you see all kinds of health compromises sort of cascade and begin for them. And I'm telling you, you can find people that are so debilitated by toxicity, even to the point where even just smelling perfume can send them into a situation where they develop a migraine, that they almost have trouble sort of living. And for those of us that don't have that problem, we tend to take it for granted. Unfortunately, that means that we allow it to build up over time, and we just don't think about sort of that long-term damage.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, and going back to a little bit of the things we were talking about at the beginning of the show, when we came across your work and your website, I thought immediately for Kate, because she works at a hair salon, and some of those toxins that get spilled out into the air, it's just almost frightening, right, Kate?
Yeah, it's not a good situation for anybody, and I'm sure people have it way worse than I do. But when you first brought those home, I have to say, I'm like, this is all you do? Like, it felt almost too simple. I go,
Right.
it tastes like nothing, it looks like nothing, but just the faith I had in what you even told me before I've learned the logistics of how it all works, it just makes me feel so much better prepared and equipped going into my day. And I'm sure so many people would benefit. It's such an easy practice. I mean,
Yeah.
Eddie, I can't get over how easy it is. It almost feels stupid, like, why would you not do it?
Yeah.
Well, I think you said it brilliantly there, Kate, is that it does give you a little bit of confidence and protection for going through the day, right? And the salon is one of those places where you're certainly your body's having to, manage exposure to toxins. And so now you're giving it what I call a fighting chance. And its simplicity, for me, I just say, hey, that's just the brilliance of the body and nature. We're just connecting the dots, but there are answers out there found in nature, and the body is so good. You just need to give it a little bit of help.
Yeah, and it kind of makes you feel good too, knowing that you're giving your body that kind of help, and knowing that you're supporting the detoxification process. Now, do people need to have strong elimination channels like the lungs and the liver and things like that to be able to deal with these toxins that get excreted from the bloodstream and the bowels, or are those organs not necessarily involved?
Well, the zeolite, when it finds the toxins, the heavy metals, the pollutants, they're attracted to it. So might think of the way if you've got two magnets in front of you, and the north end and the south end sort of come together, they kind of snap together, right? We played with them as a kid. It's almost that type of image you might develop in thinking about how the zeolite works in the body. It's a convenience detox, whereas it comes in proximity to these toxins, it becomes attracted to it, and so they soak up almost like you might think a sponge does. once they do that, they're not available. And so it doesn't have to be processed by the liver in the same manner we think of, say, an herbal cleanse or something along those lines. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we have found over time that it's very gentle. We seldom get a phone call where someone's had any type of response other than, wow, I've got more energy. We on occasion get a call, somebody says, wow, I was really tired the first day. Oh, it's probably because their body was working pretty hard. Maybe someone says, I felt like that I went to the bathroom more. And we always say, hey, increase your the amount of water going in so there's no issues associated with detoxification, or excuse me, with dehydration. So it works well in that manner, and I think is complementary and very easy on the body to use. None of those organs are really going to have to manage this like they would in normal cleanse situations.
Okay, interesting. So now with the two products, the Pure Body and the Pure Body Extra Strength. Now, right now, I'm taking just the Pure Body, which is the tincture drops, and Kate's taking the Extra Strength. I would say probably ideally it would be good for us to be on both each. But if someone just does the Pure Body, it's not like that's any less of a detoxifying thing. It's just different, right, than the Extra Strength.
Yeah, that's right. And look, I'm conscious of the fact that people have budgets and other factors they have to deal with. And so I think of Pure Body Regular as sort of a gateway and an entry level. It does a great job from a general detoxification, particularly the digestive system, that they're not going to find anywhere else in the marketplace in terms of validation of what it is, what it does. Mm-hmm. The Pure Body Extra Strength, it's just adding to that and carrying good health support to that next level. And if it's within a person's reach or grasp, they should do it, because they'll notice that combination. Give that combination 10, 15, 20 days. They find that their sleep, at least this is what we hear from our members and customers, they're sleeping better, more solidly. They wake up more clear-minded. Our athletes tell us that they are recovering more quickly. And I think all of that is because when you detoxify the body, you get some of these pollutants out of the way, the body just functions better. The immune system functions better. Recovery time, everything just functions better. It's just almost like in the same manner if you take your car in and you change the filters and you do all the things to tune it up, all of a sudden a car that was running rotten, now all of a sudden you leave the mechanics and it's running great and you think he's a genius. No, all he did was clean things up, right? Same thing with the body.
Okay.
So we're obviously very aware of your product and how, pure it is and how it's, made and where it comes from. But people that are just taking other zeolites from other places that aren't as pure, are they not... I'm sure they're not going to hurt anyone, but they're probably not going to have the same healing effects and properties as stuff that's of your caliber, correct?
We don't think so, because understanding the biomechanics of how it works in the body, and frankly, I'll be candid, there's some disingenuous information on the internet about zeolites. There are people out there that are selling tubs of zeolite, and they're basically trying to advertise, take 2, 3, 4 tablespoons a day. It's all you need. Well, there's no evidence to support that it's been milled to any particular size. There's no evidence to support that it's been cleaned. There's certainly no third-party validation. And so I do have a general concern about what the consumers are exposed to. I can't change that, but I can tell the consumer, in terms of being smart, size matters, because it's about increasing the surface area in the body. And they can just simply think of the example of a basketball, mm-hmm. and then fill the basketball with BBs, and how much more surface area you've got. That's just common sense. That would be more effective. Mm-hmm. And if the zeolite is dirty when it's found in nature, which it all is, no matter what the source is in the world, it's all dirty when we get it, when we start with it. Do you want to put something dirty in your body? If you're wiping off your countertop, do you want to start with a clean sponge or one that's dirty from prior cleaning of the countertop? It's to me a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So absolutely. Where does I think you touched on this at the very beginning. Where does it come from? Is it like I've heard it's some sort of mineral that's volcanic in nature. Am I completely off by saying that?
No, that's correct. We mine our mineral in the United States for a variety of reasons, primarily because we think it's the best source, but also we're very conscious of our carbon footprint. And so it doesn't make sense for us to try to fly in this heavy material from some other parts of the world when there's no evidence to support that it's any better, any more effective. And so by being able to mine it fairly close to the processing environment, we're able to control the carbon output of transportation and production. And we actually try to extend that not just with what we're doing with our zeolite, but our other products. We're open in some 60 countries. So eventually we know that we'll do this in Europe, we'll do this in Asia, so that we can localize as much production as possible because it's more environmentally friendly.
Okay, excellent. We're going to take a short break here. We're going to run a little ad for one of our favorite products, the sauna, the far infrared sauna. And it's another detoxification product that people can get and kind of add to their daily regimen. That's what we do. We do the zeolite, and then we sit in the sauna, and then we do an enema.
We do.
Crazy.
Add it to the list.
Kind of have to do these things if you want to stay healthy in today's world. So we're with Eddie Stone from Touchstone Essentials. That's touchstoneessentials.com. And we'll put a link on this show page, which is extremehealthradio.com/132 to his website. And we'll be right back with Eddie Stone after this break. So there's no real way to avoid toxins or chemicals in our daily life. It seems like we're exposed to them no matter what we do in our lives, from paint fumes to mercury fillings, coal-fired plants, perfumes, soaps, off-gassing of carpets in our houses, and genetically modified foods, and foods that are sprayed with pesticides and herbicides, the xenoestrogens in plastics and car exhaust, secondhand smoke, even your dry cleaning and laundry detergents, even your mattresses have chemicals inside them that outgas. So getting these toxins and chemicals and poisons out of your bloodstream and out of your fat cells is going to be really critical moving forward in our society, because it seems like every year there's more and more chemicals that keep becoming introduced with new products in the market. So I would consider getting one of these far infrared saunas. We've got a great sauna developed by Phil Wilson, and I've known about his work for many, many years, and I'm so proud to be offering his sauna on our website. And he's been in this business since 1975. And this sauna is really great because it slows the aging process. It helps with weight loss and burning calories. I think you can burn like 600 calories in 15 or 20 minutes, and it helps to cleanse the skin. It improves your sleep and helps to prevent illnesses like flus and colds, as well as energizing the body. And it's great for improving blood circulation and promoting cellular renewal, as well as increasing metabolism and inducing profuse sweating. And it's really, really great. And the great thing is you don't produce any lactic acid. So you can sweat without producing any of this lactic acid that you would normally produce if you lifted weights or went for a big long run. So if you're interested in this, you can check it out, extremehealthradio.com/sauna. It's great because it sets up in about 2 to 5 minutes, and it's portable, and it's super easy to clean. It's got low electromagnetic field radiation coming off of it, and it produces energy and heat inside the sauna evenly. It's great machine. So if you're interested in sweating like this for only 15 minutes a day, it's great. It requires zero preheating. It's got a 1-year warranty, and Phil Wilson is a great guy. We're so proud to be offering his saunas on our website. So if you're interested, check it out, extremehealthradio.com/sauna, or you could check it out in our store, and it's $990 plus $25 shipping. And that's really a good deal because many of the saunas out there, you can check them out. They're in the thousands of dollars, $2,000 to $4,000. So this is great. You can buy it through PayPal. You don't even need a PayPal account. It's 100% secure. So consider doing this if you're interested in living a long, healthy, disease-free life. So check it out, extremehealthradio.com/sauna.
All free shows, all the time on Extreme Health Radio. Opening minds and transforming lives worldwide. Join our community today. Sign up to our email list and instantly get our free gift to you, along with loads of inspirational content and cutting-edge tips to help change your life at extremehealthradio.com/subscribe.
All right. Thanks everyone for joining us. And I just want to tell you a little bit about that sauna too. Don't forget to check that out. That's sitting right here in our studio, and we use that thing for about 30 minutes every day. Just love that sauna. And we kind of just add it to the zeolites and to the other rebounding things. We kind of just do all this every day because it's really simple. The sauna, all you got to do is sit in there and then you're doing it. And so check that out. And also don't forget to sign up for our mailing list. We'll send you, as of right now, a really great book called Lessons from the Miracle Doctors. And it's a really, really great book. So don't forget to check that out and follow us on Facebook and all that
jazz,
all that good stuff. And so before the break, we were talking about zeolite and all the wonderful qualities of zeolite and what it can do. And I had another question for you, Eddie, about the Pure Body Extra Strength. And forgive me for all the questions here, but I wanted to know if they were sort of mutually exclusive in the sense that the Pure Body, the one I take, and the tincture, because of the particle size from what I'm getting from you, stays in your colon and in your gut. And what I'm curious about is the extra strength is kind of going a little bit above and beyond the Pure Body. Does that mean that it'll actually permeate the colon and the bloodstream, or it only stays mainly in the bloodstream and doesn't get into the colon?
Well, I'll try to keep this as light as I can, but let's talk about the colon a little bit. At 0.3 microns for the mean average size of the Pure Body, that means that some material staying in the bowel and some's getting into the soft tissue and bloodstream. However, the other, because of its size, you're talking about nanograms, it's not going to stay in the bowel because as your body is digesting food, processing it, and the mechanical actions that take place, well, basically in the large intestine, it's trying to squeeze out all of the water from the fecal matter so it can properly be wasted out of the body. And so if you've got Pure Body Extra Strength, it's basically going to get squeezed out. So it's not going to do its job in the colon. So that's why the difference. The Pure Body Regular, because of size, a lot of that material is going to stay in the bowel. It's not going to get squeezed out. And so you've got the way the body processes stuff, two separate things, but it also now goes to different places. And so you're just talking about if you've got one level of reach with Pure Body, you're extending that reach. Just think about an extension. You're extending that reach with the Pure Body Extra Strength to places in the body that Pure Body Regular just can't go because of its physical size.
I see. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And so now, Kate, I think you had a couple questions about the pregnancy, right?
Yeah, I was curious. What obviously it seems like a really great thing for myself. I haven't had a child, and to do this before and leading up to pregnancy, I'm sure a lot of people do. But what is the case when you become pregnant? Are people still taking this, and is it effective and safe to use during pregnancy?
Well, we take a very cautious approach, and we tell everybody to make sure with any supplement they're using, and this should just be a rule of thumb, that they're discussing this with their physician. We know a lot of our members have used the product during the course of pregnancy, even during the course of breastfeeding or nursing, and we hear nothing but good things, and we've never heard nothing otherwise. But there is no FDA evaluation of those statements or any of that material. And so it's one of those things where a person needs to make sure they're talking with their doctor about what they're doing and what their health practices are. Right. I don't know of any contraindications, and we've heard nothing but good things, but a person's just got to think about it in context to all that they're doing during the course of pregnancy.
Okay, absolutely.
If people are dealing with specific health issues, we've just kind of learned doing our show here that there's a huge correlation between toxicity and sickness and disease. And you touched on that a little bit at the beginning, but a lot of people are dealing with chronic fatigue syndrome, autoimmune diseases, or, maybe just trying to heal from certain specific injuries or things. Would you suggest or say that a zeolite, I know you can't really say that, it cures cancer or things like that because of obvious reasons. But as a strategy, an overall strategy of dealing with specific acute issues that people might be having, could you say that zeolite would be a big component in that?
Well, I know at a personal level, and everybody involved in my life, and certainly the feedback I've gotten from years, and it's been years and hundreds of thousands of people that I've worked with in some capacity with zeolites, that it doesn't do anything but support whatever efforts a person's making towards good health or healing themselves. I mean, let's just sort of look at the fundamentals. If you've got a body that's fighting issues of toxicity at the cellular level, how equipped is that body to heal itself or even just reach the maximum of whatever the health potential is? And so to me, it's just a really fundamental common sense concept to pay attention to the fact that detox needs to be a part of good health practices, just like making sure you've got good nutrients going into your body. We think the things go hand in hand, and we don't see how in the heck you would justify separating them.
I see.
Right.
I see. Yeah.
Is there an ideal time to take this thing during the day or on an empty stomach versus, are there any rules that work better for this than others?
Well, probably the only thing to keep in mind is you'd like to spread it out as much as possible, because under normal circumstances, it'll process out of the body in probably a 4 to 6 hour period of time. But it's an inert mineral, so it doesn't matter whether you've eaten or not eaten, with food, without food. If you spray it onto your salad, although you probably get a faster response if you spray it in your mouth, because it's going to function in the body even with the digestion of the material around it. And so the only thing I tell people is, hey, spread it out. It's better if you're taking 5 drops a day or 10 drops a day. Don't take them all at once. Spread it out as much as you can.
Okay, that's good advice. And I don't know if this is a silly question, but do people use it on their animals, pets?
All the time. And in fact, I have to say some of the pet stories we get are, I don't know, they're heartwarming or touching. I'm not really sure quite how to describe it, but if a person's poked around on our blog, you'll see a few of these things are on our Facebook. But we get pets and kids and children, and it's not like I'm, don't want to see adults get benefits too, but we love to hear the stories about cats and dogs. We've even had people talk to us about chronic wound healing problems on horses, and they've sprayed it with Pure Body Extra Strength. Now, I'm not a vet or a biochemist, and so I can't speak to, what's happening there, except maybe just detox in general and, improves conditions for healing. And so, but we hear it all the time.
Wow.
That's interesting. So we've done that a couple of times. I've forewent, I don't know how you say that, my own drops. I've put some.
You didn't tell me that.
I put some drops in our dog's food.
Did you?
Yeah. And
she's alive. This is good.
No, it's great.
Sounds like the best. We should add it to her little daily or weekly regimen too.
Yeah. So if you were to give it to dogs, I guess it would depend on their actual size, right? How big they are?
I would probably just make a general thought about kind of body weight, right? And so maybe if you're dealing with a pet under 20 pounds, maybe you cut it in half or a third, but it's not going to have a chemical reaction in their body so that there's any issue where they can become toxic or overburdened with it. It's just going to process out. And so I don't think we have to overthink that, particularly from a safety standpoint. It's just a probably common sense. Hey, they weigh 20 pounds. They probably need a third to a quarter of the dose, that type of approach.
Okay.
Wow.
So now the idea of doing it 3 times a day, because on the bottle it says, do 3 sprays or 4 sprays or drops or whatever it is 4 times a day or 3 times a day. That just goes back to what you were saying of spacing it out and kind of giving your body the same amount of detoxification, I guess, ingredients throughout the whole day. Is that kind of the idea?
Yeah, that's right. It's opportunistic, so we want it to be there as frequently as possible. We also know in our business that compliance and the ability of somebody to fit something into their day is a big deal, right? If they don't use it, it can't do anything for them. So we think about when people are accustomed to sort of thinking about consumption. There's probably all kinds of opinions on this, but at the end of the day, most Americans in the Western world thinks about eating 3 times a day or consuming 3 times a day. So we try to plant it in those environments, so at least we assure ourselves that there's some spread to its use.
I see. And have you had anybody, I'm sure you have had blood tests and had really high levels of aluminum or mercury or whatever it is that they might have in their bodies, and then they take the zeolite, and then after that their levels have come down. Have you had experience with that?
Absolutely. We get people now, it's a personal clinical trial of one, right? So you got to be careful how you couch the information, but we get testimonials into the office frequently where people have had 6-month checks on their hair, for example. Hair analysis can be very effective on toxicity, blood analysis, but also discharge of urine. And so we've seen sort of the whole gamut, and it's very positive. And so we know there's a physical attribute to that, but most people can just generally tell just by the way they feel of what kind of positive things are going on inside their body.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, this whole zeolite thing, because it's becoming more and more popular, and obviously the mineral itself is not a new thing, but I've heard in the past it's been used in things like Chernobyl and for radiation and things, and I guess it's really been around as a product for quite some time, hasn't it?
Yeah, I've seen that same information. I know that it has a particular strength dealing with radioactive material and has been around in that usage for quite some time, but also as an excipient found in manufacturing food products that are powdered, because it allows them to control clumping and moisture content. So it's, we know a lot about it, and it's been used safely, and that's why it enjoys the GRAS status from the FDA. Interesting. And I know we're kind of wrapping up the show here, but we've got a lot of other questions about some of your other products, and I know you can probably just do a little bit of a touch on some of the other things. We have really no experience with any of your other products, but it looks like you have lots of good things in here. You got the green energy, and then you've got the super greens, and all kinds of things you've got going on. Yeah, it goes back to that approach to cellular health, detoxification, and then putting good nutrition back in. And what we realize is that even with the best of intentions, most people, even educated people, even people with the right kind of money and support, really fall short of what their body needs on a day in and day out basis. And we can talk about all the reasons, right? That what they buy at the grocery store, how it's prepared, how it traveled in from a foreign country, whatever it happens to be. And so we know that nutrition day in and day out, not just on occasion, is really critical to health today, health tomorrow. And so we have a group of products that are incredibly portable, of the highest quality they can be. We never allow anything to exceed 106 degrees during the processing, so that we don't denature any of those delicate phytonutrients or kill off any of those native enzymes. And so you're talking about essentially a raw food, a raw supplement. We add our own native enzymes to that then to make sure that there's full digestion. And so our objective is to make sure we're supplying to the body a balanced approach to nutrition using those combinations of fruits, vegetables, roots, and herbs and things that we know are very effective at attacking oxidative stress, free radical damage, a balanced approach to the 5 primary free radicals, or all the benefits from greens, the minerals and other things, and the impact on the body's immune system and processing oxygen, and then healthy fats. Our Wellspring product is, we utilize parent essential oils. There's no fish oil in there, and so it is a basic building block for the body to build EPA and DHA, giving the body everything it needs from a good fat standpoint, along with curcumin and other ingredients. And so it's I'm just as proud of that work and what that can do as I am the Pure Body products and detoxification. And we're enthused, and call us biased, but we really believe we take the best holistic approach out there.
I like that, and that sounds like it goes right along with the work of what is his name? Professor Brian Peskin, who he talks a lot about how dangerous fish oils are, and he talks a ton about getting these parent essential oils that are coming from other sources other than fish, and because he talks about those as being a pharmacological overdose and really, really damaging for your body. So you work with some of those parent oils too for the fats.
Yeah, that's right. And that research is, frankly, it's cutting edge. It's been around a while, but it's cutting edge in terms of what we know. Here's the bottom line. Your body has the natural ability, given the basics, to produce EPA and DHA, which are critical for a variety of functions. You oversupply it, or you supply it via these fish oil products people are taking, and that ability atrophies. and the long-term impact on the body, brain function, other things, devastating. And so we think that's one of the areas where the public really needs the greatest amount of education on, what's happening with this, the amount of fish oil people are using.
Yeah. It's we're going to have Brian on the show here pretty soon, but talking about that issue exactly. And I heard a study a while back. It was I think it took place. I can't remember when it took place, but I think it was a 30-year study or something, and where they would effectively nourish a cell and effectively detoxify the cell. And there was a certain procedure that the scientists would do each and every day to cleanse the cell and to build the cell with nutrition. And they found that after 30 years, I think one of the scientists had forgotten to do their daily task one day, but the experiment lasted for 30 years of keeping a single cell alive. And the conclusion they came to is that as long as a cell is nourished and cleansed, it essentially has a lifespan that can go on forever. And so that's kind of like what you're doing with the detoxification products, like the zeolites and things. But then you have the energy products, the immune system products and things like that. It's kind of like the same kind of deal, right?
Absolutely. And we could have a whole nother show about this, about the lifespan of cells, and talk about telomeres and telomerase and, what we know that supports the body's production of telomerase, which is the enzyme that protects and helps to repair the telomeres. And so, and that does go to the very core issue of detoxification and good nutrition. So I'd be enthused to be a part of that, because that's really part of what we think about. It's health today and health tomorrow, and how long out tomorrow is. It's really all a part of our practices and what we do.
I love it. Yeah, let's consider doing that. I would love to have you back on again and talking about some of those issues, because those are really, really fascinating things. And so thank you so much, Eddie, for being on the show today. I really appreciate you sharing your products, and I'm just happy to be on it myself. And
me too.
Thanks for all that you're doing over there.
Well, thank you both for taking the time to have me on the show, and honor to speak with you. And I really appreciate the listeners, your time today, and do hope you found value.
So that was an interesting show with Mr. Eddie Stone from Touchstone Essentials.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting and informative, huh?
Yeah, that hour flew by,
didn't it?
It's funny. Every guest we have on, I'm just amazed at how that hour just could be filled up to 2, and you still don't feel like you get everything you were wanting to ask,
Yeah, there's still so much more I wanted to talk with him about. And it was really interesting, because I had heard about zeolites and different companies doing zeolites and things. And when we had Deborah Lynn Dad on, I just thought, okay, this is really something I need to look into, because I spoke with her off the air for about an hour or more.
Oh, did you talk to her that
Yeah, long? And she was just really, really spoke so highly of this company, Touchstone Essentials. So I figured I would do some research, and I did a research for quite a while after that, for a few weeks, and ended up calling them and asking them 1,000 questions. And
good.
And so finally I said, you know what, I'm just going to, before we promote it, I'm just going to buy some and see what we think, know? And really impressed with what they got going on.
I am too.
Yeah, and the thing I like about it too is that it's super easy to do. You just put 3, the one I do is 4 drops in a little thing of water.
You do 4.
3 times a day.
That's it.
I mean, it takes you 5 seconds.
Yeah, mine's even easier.
Yeah.
I have this little spray, and you just spray it in your mouth like a throat spray or something, and it's gone. And it is, I don't think it's only mental that it feels good. I feel like I do feel better on it, and I don't know if it's a subtle change of energy, or I just feel good. I just feel like I'm doing something so good for my body. And
I noticed the first time I took it, I was really tired for about 2 days. Yeah.
Were you?
Yeah, I took it, and I just felt a lot more run down and exhausted when I went to bed those nights. I was just super, you go to sleep, you're just so tired.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the zeolite. There's no way to, clinically know all of these things, but at some point you're going to have to trust. I mean, someone, whenever you consume a food or a supplement,
it's doing something.
Yeah, you have to trust someone, and you have to, at some point, you have to break down and actually try something. And so, we're all experimenting, and we really like what we got going on here with Eddie Stone and Touchstone Essentials.
Yes.
Yeah, he's really, really good. So
I'm grateful for that interview. I know he's a busy guy, and that was great. If we can ever have him back on and talk about the cells even more so, that would be a fascinating interview.
And the telomeres and all of that. Yeah, that would be really interesting. So if you would like to support us, and if you're interested in purchasing some of this zeolite, you can go, if you'd like. There's two ways to do it. One is by supporting us in what we're doing and helping keep the show free. The other one is just to buy it straight out. And either way is good. I just want you guys to get on something like this.
Get healthy.
Yeah, to detoxify this toxic world we're living in. So you can either go to touchstoneessentials.com. touchstoneessentials.com, or you could go to extremehealthradio.com/zeolite. That's ZEOLITE, zeolite. And that'll redirect you over there. And if you purchase through us, we'll get a little commission. And what I like about it too is that the Pure Body is $24 a month.
Wow.
I mean, it's really cheap to do that.
That's so affordable for what you're doing for yourself.
Yeah, it's just a good deal. It's just a really, really good deal. So either way, whether you support us or not, consider looking into this. And I think you're really going to like it. And hopefully you enjoyed the interview. And if you know of anyone who could benefit from this show and what we're doing, please feel free to send it to your friends on Facebook or Twitter or Pinterest or whatever social media thing you use. Consider sharing our site with your friends, fans, and followers on there. That would be a huge, huge way to support us. And we'd be so grateful to, if you did that. It would mean so much to us, because we're kind of relying on all of you guys to help spread the word for us, and because we don't have a budget for advertising and all that kind of stuff. So if you could, that would be really great. And looks like the sun's coming out here.
Yay.
Maybe we could go to the beach for an hour.
Maybe we could.
And jump in some of that toxic water, huh?
And then come home and zeolite ourselves up.
No, we should walk Maggie, I think, first, right?
I think Maggie needs a walk. She's getting a little antsy over here.
We'll take her for a walk first. So thank you, everybody, for joining us on this show. And again, it's extremehealthradio.com/132 for the show notes. And if there's ever anything we can do for you, just let us know. Justin at extremehealthradio.com.
Or Kate at extremehealthradio.com.
KATE, and we're going to go walk our dog. So thanks a lot, everybody, for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Thank you for listening to this episode.
It's time to go for now, but our mission does not end with this show.
Justin and Kate will be back with another interview packed full of ideas, discoveries, and unique ways to regain your health.
Head on over to extremehealthradio.com/subscribe and instantly download our free gift too, that contains cutting-edge strategies to start making healthy lifestyle changes today.
No material on this blog is intended to suggest that you should not seek professional medical care. Always work with qualified medical professionals, even as you educate yourself in the field of live food nutrition and alternative medicine. I'm not a doctor, nor am I offering readers or listeners medical advice of any kind. None of the information offered here should be interpreted as a diagnosis of any disease, nor an attempt to treat or prevent any disease or condition. While information in this blog and during this podcast is discussed in the context of numerous conditions, it can be dangerous to take action based on any of the information on this podcast or in this blog, or to start any health program without first consulting a health professional. The content found here is for informational purposes only and is in no way intended as medical advice, as a substitute for medical counseling, or as a treatment or cure for any disease or health condition, and nor should it be construed as such. Always work with a qualified health practitioner or professional before